We are back for another match of the PQ Prep night at Red Raccoon Games on June 25th. We're going to see Matt and his Vader yellow deck taking on myself playing Ray Data Vault. And for those of you who have been following the set 4 meta knows that the Vader yellow has such an advantage going into this matchup, with the Ray Data Vault decks not playing a heavy space presence, and even when they can draw some tools like a blue leader or a sentinel, the Vader decks often have responses and set the Ray decks back a bit. With this being preparation for the planetary qualifier held at Red Raccoon Games on June 28th. This was the Ray Data Vault deck, the same list that I did take to the planetary qualifier, securing 4th place, so I'll make sure to include the deck list here. So you'll see just an example match of how Ray goes into these Vaders and how Vader can just handle the Ray decks. So the game plan here, as a Ray player, is basically do whatever you can to slow down the stream of damage, so often getting restore units out on the ground and possibly try to race, and then holding any sort of removal for 2 key units. Looking to remove the Victor leader, which buffs all the space units, gives them +1/+1, and then also that clone combat squadron that gets +1/+1 for every friendly space unit. And if a Ray player can do that, they have a chance, right? A lot of things have to go right, and so we see here coming down with the clone deserter and using Ray's ability, make it a 3/4 with restore, but having that bounty that would allow the opponent to draw a card. Matt getting a great start as well with the 2 mining guild TIE fighters. Vader likes having the 2 1-drops because even if one of these units gets defeated, they still have a way to generate the TIE. So we see 3 damage go into Matt and 1 damage going into Data Vault. Not a great draw for Ray here with the Village Protectors. Not going to do much on the ground. See more damage go in with the 2nd Mining Guild TIE Fighter, a Lurking TIE Phantom coming down, as well as the Vader action ability to generate a TIE Fighter. Now something like a blue leader would be great because it could ambush in and kill the Lurking TIE Phantom while surviving. Now that Lurking TIE Phantom does have Raid 2, so it can pump out for 4 damage. So 3 more damage going to Matt's base, putting him at 6, and the clone deserter does restore 1 health. Now what's tricky is that the Lurking TIE Phantom has that ability that says it can't be defeated or damaged by enemy card abilities. And now we see the Victor leader buffing all of those units and don't have the play there, don't have a response, don't have a direct hit or an eager escort fighter or even a blue leader, so just have to buff the Village Protector, try to do something, and doesn't even get the Rebel buff off of here, just doing 3 more damage into base, putting Matt at 9. But now we're going to see 6 damage come in here and put myself at 12 damage. And Matt putting down another ship and generating another TIE Fighter token. He's really running away with this. There's not much other than a miracle that can save a Ray player in this situation. Matt easily able to out-damage any sort of restore, even if we see a ramp and Ray come out, can easily do more than 4 damage, which would be the restore value with the clone deserter and Ray. So we'll see if I have any sort of options here. Again, just doing 3 more into base, putting Matt at 12, going back down to 11. But we're probably going to see a lot of damage. Just looking at the hand, see U-Wing reinforcement, Luke. Not really things that are useful here. An overwhelming barrage coming down, dealing 5 damage. So taking out the fleet lieutenant, pinging the shield off of the village protectors, and dealing some damage to the clone deserter. 1 damage there. Just able to mitigate the damage coming through on the ground, but also just buffing up that lurking tie. Now at 5 power, can swing for 7. Bringing that up to 18. Matt at 15 damage, but not really worried. We do see timely reinforcements, but with Matt only at 5 resources, only 2 X-Wings with Sentinel being created off that, because it's 1 X-Wing with Sentinel for the phase for every 2 resources the opponent has. Now Matt is tapped out, but can easily swing the 2 TIE tokens to clear those, or in this case using the Mining Guild TIE Fighters, which are a 1-2, but buffed by the Victor Leader, are 2-3, so taking those out and surviving. And we're going to see a ton more damage come through. We're going to see 8 more damage come through to the Data Vault. And reminding Matt to tap and generate another TIE Fighter. Not that it'll matter, Matt, just having total control of this game. Again, this is probably just out of desperation. David hoping somehow Matt forgets to attack here. So we see Rey come down to try to get some healing. The Vader flips onto the Lurking TIE Phantom, and that is posing lethal right there. With the Data Vault being only at 28, or so, I'm sorry, 26. But the TIE Phantom swinging for 12 will close it out, even with Rey restoring for 3 here, putting Matt up to 18. So not even close. Matt can just, or let's see, he's thinking here. Maybe the math is off. So yeah, Data Vault at 23. So Lurking TIE being at, so okay, so Lurking TIE only swinging for 9 here. So Matt's trying to figure out, is there something that, after if Rey survives, can there be something played that can totally turn the tide? As the Rey player, there is not, but sometimes when you have a crushing board state, it doesn't hurt to make sure that you will win. I know in plenty of games of my competitive chess days, I've learned that it's very easy to blow an advantage. Now, I don't think Matt has anything to worry about here. Looks like he taps 5 here, overwhelming barrage, just to take everything, and I scoop here. I told him I was bluffing, I had nothing. So on to game 2. So I don't know what Matt brought in from the sideboard, but when I sideboard into this matchup, I already mainboard 2 Eager Escort Fighters, but I was basically bringing in some 2 more additional direct hits, bringing it up to 3, bringing in some confiscates for that Vader leader, and also I believe I bring in the regional governor That way to just name something that I don't want to see, like an overwhelming barrage or maybe a clone combat squadron, because sometimes the best response to very strong cards in your opponent's deck is to prevent them from playing it. And as we saw from game one, it's a very uphill battle for a Raid Data Vault player against this deck. So have to hope for not only a perfect draw for yourself, but a suboptimal draw for your opponent. So we do see the direct hit is in hand as something that we like to see playing Raid Data Vault. Looks like for a one drop there is a turn one play a C3PO, and while Matt's shuffling, we do get a prize pack from the first round, as at Red Raccoon we do pack per win, and flashing the stolen AT hauler pulled from that pack. What's interesting about Matt's list is that he does not run the hauler. Instead, he opts for a spicy include on the ground, which I believe we'll see in later on the film. So I will save that. I don't want to spoil anything. So, but we won't see the hauler in the game. Seeing what else is in the hand. Again, we see the direct hit on top. Very important. We see a green unit. Might be a blue leader. Again, great in this matchup. I think it fell the dragon. Oh, so we see the R2, C3PO, fell the dragon, and direct hit. Decent start. Especially as you can cycle through these cards and hopefully see the cards you need. With R2's ability being able to look at the top, and if it's not a card you need in the matchup, you can go right to the bottom, which is what I do here. And Matt getting his one drop here, and using Ray's ability to buff up the R2, making it a 2/5. And Matt only gets one unit here, so this is the type of start that Ray likes to see. Now, Matt and I did have this matchup during the store showdown where Matt took it 2-0, and he was able to easily win after a one unit start. So a Ray player can't get cocky here, but we see the R2 keeping the unit on top. We see C3PO, and we see Y correctly naming 3, since we saw the card, getting that Village Protector. Now Matt has 3 resources open. Looks like there's a Sanctioner Shuttle, which he plays, capturing the R2, which allows, with just a good shift in balance, and prevents myself from being able to get that draw engine off of knowing what the card on top is. Looks like see a green unit drawn, might be that blue leader. And so this is starting to look in favor of the Vader player, getting a good space presence, and with only a C3PO without the R2 on the ground, it's going to have to luck into some draws here. We see 3 come down for the Victor leader. Good play by Matt. Sometimes it's good to attack with a unit, make sure you get the non-token unit attack in so you can generate another tie, and you can also try to wait to see what your opponent might play. So here I want to do a wait and see, and I attack in with the C3PO. I usually guess 3 because there's a lot of 3 drops in the deck. Don't get it. See 3 damage come in from the Sanctioner Shuttle. Now I play Bright Hope, and this is a good timing of this, because Matt hasn't been able to attack with all his units, and I also didn't do it right away where he can maybe pivot and save a waylay or something like that. Waylay is the answer Matt would want to see in his hand to get rid of this Bright Hope. Now, both of his TIE fighters are swinging for 2, so they could put 4 damage on there, and then he can finish it off with the Victor Leader. So Matt with only 4 damage on his base. Same thing with Data Vault. He's thinking here, does he want to weaken the Bright Hope or claim and hope for a waylay or another answer? Another key card for Rey to have is Entrenched. If Rey can get an Entrenched, they typically like to put that on the unit, the Vader Leader pilots. And so we do see this line where Matt swings in with both ties, generates another one, putting the Bright Hope at 4 damage. And we see another Mining Guild tie come out on the field. And we see a U-Wing and a Fleet Lieutenant resourcing the Fleet. Well, it looks like the Fleet Lieutenant was going to be resourced, but myself reevaluating that decision. So we do see the U-Wing reinforcement, Blue Leader, fell the Dragon, direct hit. And looks like an Entrenched, which again is a key card in this matchup. So when we talk about a Rey Data Vault player needing the perfect draws, this is an example of that. Don't remember what I resourced here. So we're gonna buff the Bright Hope. And the idea here is if he defeats the Bright Hope with the Sanctioner Shuttle, you can tap 4 for the direct hit, taking out the Victor Leader. And not only taking out the Victor Leader, but then the Sanctioner Shuttle goes back to 3 health, and so that will be defeated. And the other, the Mining Guild tie with the 2 damage will also be defeated. So trying to bait Matt into this play. A waylay would be great here. We see another Sanctioner Shuttle in hand. Sanctioner Shuttle has an ability that, with Coordinate turned on, can capture a unit with 3, or that costs 3 or less. Bright Hope costing 4. It stays on the board. And now we see the direct hit taking out 3 units. So we are at 5 resources, only 4 damage on the Data Vault. This is looking like a decent start. Now we see the other Sanctioner Shuttle coming in to capture C-3PO. I'm forced to claim here. And 2 more damage come in. And Matt putting down the Separatist droid ship. Forget the exact name, but it's a 1/2 and it has Saboteur. It's really great in this deck because while it only attacks for 1, if someone plays a big Space Sentinel, you can put the Vader pilot onto that, and then you have this 6/6 with Saboteur, just hammering at your base. And so now we see the Blue Leader come in, taking out the Sanctioner Shuttle, getting the C-3PO back. And rescued units come back exhausted. And we see, looks like another Blue Leader, fell the Dragon, Entrenched, and U-Wing reinforcement. Another Victor Leader coming down. That is definitely something that helps Matt out, buffing all these units right up again. And so we see the R2 being buffed, basically with the 2 resources open, telegraphing the Entrenched. So Matt, with 1 last card in hand, decides to take out the Blue Leader with the tie to avoid any future shenanigans there. Another 2 to base, putting Matt at, I believe, 8 there. And looking up the top of the deck with the R2 ability. Keeping that on there. Must be something good. We see the Mining Guild TIE Fighter attack in for 2. And Ray coming out. See another tie being generated. Can't see that last card Matt has. But it is not a no good to me dead, which is good for Ray. Being able to attack for 3 and heal 3 is a great swing. Another damage coming in from the tie. And you don't want to claim initiative here, because then Vader comes in, starts swinging at you. So I believe I pass here. Now it is Matt's turn to think. So what is he thinking here? Right? He knows that there's probably an answer to Darth Vader. Right? Could be a confiscate, could be an entrench. He doesn't know exactly what, but he knows that there's something waiting. And he knows that if Vader deploys onto that droid ship with Saboteur, something's going to happen to it. But he's thinking here maybe a ground deploy. That's often good for Vader if you think a confiscate might be in hand, because you can't confiscate a ground unit. Like it's not a pilot, it's just a unit on the ground. And there's no Sentinel here. So while Village Protectors isn't great in this matchup, it could dissuade a ground deploy, as it would take a couple actions to get through there. Now Matt might be thinking if he deploys Vader to the ground and it is entrenched in my hand, it just gets entrenched and he's forced to take out my ground units, which could be advantageous, could take out Ray, but he decides to deploy in space, get those ties, and here comes the entrenched, basically making that that piloted unit cannot attack bases. But that basically prevents myself from ever playing a Bright Hope or anything there, because it will instantly get annihilated. Also, very worrisome here is an overwhelming barrage onto that piloted unit will have a devastating result on the board. Looks like no overwhelming barrage in hand, but he attacks with the Mining Guild TIE Fighter and uses the on-attack ability to tap 2 resources to draw a card. And direct hit onto the Victor leader. Data Vault only at 9 damage, and we're on turn 6. Things should be turning the corner for a Ray player. Again, Matt not getting the best draws. Getting 2 direct hits, a blue leader and a Bright Hope, without and Vader not seeing any waylays or no good to me deads or anything to deal with those things. Especially the no good to me dead being great on the Ray leader, makes it tough. So it looks like 12 damage on base. And here's that clone combat squadron that is so strong. Counting up the damage here. Would hit for 9, since it gets +1/+1 for every friendly space unit. And its base is a 3/3, and there's 6 friendly space units. Attacking with R2 to set up this draw engine. So Matt claims here and probably has an overwhelming barrage, which would be really good. getting the confiscate off of the C3PO draw, just taking out the Vader leader, just in case, if Matt is running a confiscate of his own, can get rid of entrenched, and then the piloted leader just starts swinging. That could be really dangerous, so just getting rid of that. A draw engine and heal engine, pretty looking good for myself. Still see that U-wing reinforcement in hand. Just a good way to try to get additional units out there. I think we see a blue leader, a U-wing. Can't quite see the other cards. So you see 5 tap, and we see the overwhelming barrage. So that's going to come down for 11. So taking out Rey or I think that might be. Yeah, for 11, taking out some units. But Fel the Dragon comes down. Great answer for the Clone Combat Squadron. That's what you hold. You basically hold the Fel the Dragon for when the Clone Combat Squadron is about to strike. C3PO looking at the top of the deck there. 4 resources open for myself. Matt, 2 resources open. And he claims there. And we see another blue leader come in, taking out the Mining Guild tie. And it stays alive since Matt claimed, and the droid starfighter cannot, we'll have to kill that this next turn. So I think we're at 9 resources, and Matt's at 8. So we'll probably start seeing, some U-wings, maybe some home ones. Maybe Luke Skywalker's come down. See R2 attack the base for 3. Putting Matt at, looks like 21 damage. Being able to see what's on the top there after the R2 attack. Another TIE fighter being created. We see 7 tapped. I think we're going to see the U-wing reinforcement. Something like a Bright Hope plus an Eager Escort fighter. Always good. Looks like on the top there was a regional governor. Playing that down and naming Overwhelming Barrage. Also a good option. So we see 2 regional governors. Looks like a Luke Skywalker in there. We do see the Bright Hope Eager Escort fighter, so we basically see all 3 really good options. So a great U-wing draw. Now, after turning the corner like this, because we see only 8 damage left on base, it might be good to just take a big unit like a Luke. That there's really not a massive way to deal with that, with all these small space units, and it's presenting just additional heal. And with Matt at 8 resources, it's basically, hey, if you want to stop this, you have to spend all of your resources and can't really advance the state in space. So using the Luke when played ability to take out that droid starfighter, basically prevent any overwhelming barrage shenanigans. We see Mon Mothma come down just to get a draw after Sanctioner shuttle captures R2. We're going to grab home 1, and no, that's not being played. That's a lot of people ask me that. But that was the space open in the play area away from my hand in the discard pile. But with home 1 coming down, giving additional restore, being able to start bringing things back like a blue leader can really just close out this game, presenting Matt with not a whole lot of options here. So Matt does have 5 resources open. So maybe a waylay to bounce the Luke could be good. I claim initiative here, and we do see the waylay come down just to get the Luke back to hand, slowing down the tide here. We see a Geonosis patrol fighter in hand, a lurking tie, and not sure the last card there. Matt doing 2 more damage, bringing Data Vault up to 12. Resourcing, I think, a Battlefield Marine. Right here, I just want to start playing my big units, close out the game before Matt can just build his board back up. Knowing there's a U-Wing reinforcement, Luke, and Home 1, all of Rey's top end. It's very good here. And we see the Home 1 come down, Blue Leader taking out the Sanctioner shuttle, taking 2 damage back. And staying in the space arena, one option would be after Blue Leader uses the ambush, would be to pay 2 resources, bringing it to the ground and adding 2 experience to it. A great play could be just a way to threaten additional damage off of there the next turn. So the question is, does Matt want to just try to do as much damage as he can to the base, or do you have to deal with the Home 1? The Home 1 giving a lot of damage, and here he scoops, makes sure there wasn't anything that could save him off the top, and going to game 3. So again, this is that example of if Vader gets off to just an okay start and Rey gets a perfect draw, getting things like your direct hits, your entrenched, your blue leaders, you can change the narrative of this matchup. One cool thing to add is Matt is rocking the Vader Showcase. He won that as a door prize at Cabbages and Kings, a card shop in Peoria Heights, about 40 minutes away from us. So shout out to Dan at Cabbages and Kings, always giving out great door prizes. I've yet to win one myself, but I've had several friends that have walked away with some pretty sweet legendary cards, showcases, and just overall good vibes. So if you ever see a showdown or a 1K over there, it's another good venue to get some good Star Wars Unlimited games in. So Matt, going into this third game, probably just wants to recreate that magic that he had in the first game, just getting a smooth space start. One thing to watch out is that anything that can be killed by a blue leader in one attack, is at risk. Any of those 3 drops. So Sanctioner shuttles, lurking ties, not the 3 drops you want to see in your starting hand, but things like the Victor leader would be great. So we see in the starting hand for myself, looks like a blue leader and a bright hope. So already a decent space start. We see the clone deserter in there, so an ideal 1 drop to get some healing off. One play that we sometimes see out of the Vader players is after they play a Lurking Tie Phantom, the next turn they play the Shuttle SC-149. That is Krennic's ship from Rogue One, and it can move a token upgrade from one unit to another, and that can be used to give its own shield to the Lurking Tie, making it pretty well defended in space. But it's also a great card into this matchup because as Rey is giving experience to all these units, you can say, hey, thank you for spending one resource for an experience unit or experience token. I will gladly take that and put it on my spaceship. And especially if you put an experience on a Bright Hope in space, thinking that it would, hold down the fort, defeat some units, all of a sudden switch that experience token goes to the opponent and they're just wrecking through your Bright Hope. So R2 coming down, and then the Clone Deserter, so a 2-unit start. This is good because we talked about last game about the R2 unit being able to cycle through the top card of the deck, making sure that if there's a card that's coming and is not needed in this moment, to just put it at the bottom. And here Matt attacks with the Mining Guild TIE Fighter first. This is on purpose because you can generate the token and then the first order TIE that's out there gets raid 1 when a token unit is out. And now we see the blue leader being able to take out that first order TIE, preventing some damage in. So I believe Data Vault should have 1 damage on the base. Or I'm sorry, it does not have 1 damage because the Clone Deserter attacked and healed. So Matt has 3 damage on his base from the R2 and Clone Deserter attacking. And here, instead of attacking with the R2, we claim because now the blue leader can just take out the Lurking Tie. And that's the dangers of getting the Lurking Tie on turn 2, is that a lot of these space units, especially blue leader, can just easily take it out. So Bright Hope in hand, that is looking good. We see the Mining Guild TIE Fighter come in for 1 damage and not use the ability, so this suggests that Matt does have a play that he wants here, rather than trying to tap 2 to get more cards. Clone Deserter attacking for 2, restoring, so putting Matt up to 5 damage on his base. Matt creating another TIE token. Now R2 going in for 1, keeping the card on top, so must be something good. So Matt contemplating what he wants to do here. So he attacks for 1. This is good. It's basically putting myself in that situation where I have to show my hand, do what I need to do. And here's the Bright Hope. Again, something like a Waylay and a 1-drop might be good here. Instead we see the Geonosis Patrol Fighter. Now that has Exploit, and so can be, even though it costs 5, can be played for 1 less. It can actually be played for up to, when I say 1 less, that's 2. That's Exploit 1, but it has Exploit 2. But it can't bounce the Bright Hope because it can only bounce something that costs 3 or less. So the Clone Deserter is going back to the hand. And Bright Hope is going to swing, take out the Patrol Fighter, getting 3 damage back on there. And without something like a Victor Leader buffing up these ties, even with 2 attacks from the ties, will not take out Bright Hope. So being able to stabilize here, it's great..., 'Great. 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 And we do see the spicy card in his hand. Late in the game, we see a Maul. Definitely something that can fake out some Ray players not really paying attention to their units on the ground. It's a great answer to the Ray leader and some other units. With that ambush and overwhelm, could be another way to pump out that last damage you need. So we see the token TIE Fighter dealing 1 damage into Bright Hope. And now we see another blue leader come out. Again, great draws here as a Ray player. Definitely seeing the things you want to see. And now we see for 4 that ST shuttle, or that shuttle ST-149, but without any other token upgrades on there. It couldn't really use its ability, and no other units on the field. Matt can't give that shield to anything. And here I just claim, because I have an answer, direct hit, and basically now there will be no ready units for Matt to deploy Vader on. So going into the flip turn, empty space. This is something you very rarely see for a Vader. But we know Matt has that spicy ground inclusion with Maul. And so he deploys Vader here. And blue leader is going to attack. The Vader with 5 power can't kill Rey, but if there is something like overwhelming barrage, could be used to take that out and take out the main source of healing for this Rey Data Vault deck. So Matt swings for 5. Bring Data Vault up to 6. Bright Hope swinging for another 2. Bringing that up to somewhere around 10. I do plan to make some improvements to the base damage counting for these recorded games so we can more clearly see the base totals. So Matt tapping 3 here. For a P-38 droid starfighter, dealing 1 damage to another unit. So just pinging down Bright Hope. Bring it to 5 health. Again, 1 to base from the R2. Being able to see what's on top. Looks like we like it here, and nope. Yep, we're leaving it on top. So it must be something kind of good. Matt claims initiative here. So we see that clone deserter come back down, Rey buffing it, and then 3 into base, healing 3. So Rey turning the corner here. Looks like 14. Looks like it was 11 on base before, and Matt's up to 14 damage on his base. Rey being able to control space and have a decent ground presence. So both players up at 7 resources. And we see Matt tapping 7. We know it's coming. That spicy Maul include taking out Rey. No overwhelm, as Rey had 7 health. And responds with 7 resources of his own for Luke Skywalker to take out the Darth Vader. That's a 5/6. And not really worried about the taking out the Maul, because there are answers to it. So the droid starfighter, the P-38 taking out Bright Hope, dealing a damage to Luke. And 1 damage to base off of R2. Putting the card back on the bottom, and the clone deserter is going to take out Maul, and Matt draws a card off of that, but this is looking really great for me here. Even if all the units are cleared, only 2 damage on the base. Looking great. And I believe here Matt scoops. And there is that unlikely situation of the Rey data vault triumphing over. But if we go back to that first game, that's really what's characteristic of it, of this matchup. So Rey just getting some good draws, and Vader, if you don't get the exact card you need, could run into some issues even in a favorable matchup. So thank you for watching, and hope you watch the next video. Thanks.